It's time for the Seint Beauty Eyeshadow Shade of the Month. You guys, it is almost the end of May and I am just getting this video out. If you are a mom in May and live in a region where school is letting out in a couple weeks, I know you feel me. So my apologies that we are late for this one, but you guys, this shade is like one that we do not have. She is absolutely gorgeous. We are gonna do comparison swatches and we're gonna create an eye look that's a little bit outside of my norm. And today we're gonna do it with the May shade of the month, which is Oona. So if you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sami George. I'm an independent makeup artist with Seint Beauty, specializing in the woman with real skin. Okay, you guys, I have redness, rosacea, acne scarring, you name it, I have it. Today, we've already done our makeup, so you can't see it because we are gonna focus on eyeshadow. So again, if you are new, welcome to my page. If you are interested in checking out the shade of the month and creating an eye look, be sure to stick around and watch this video. And as always, I would love it if you would subscribe so you never miss a thing, and thanks for being here. Okay, you guys, this is Oona. So this is the May shade of the month. And you guys, she's gorgeous, unlike anything else we have. So Oona actually came out in the advent calendar, and definitely purples were needed, particularly warm purples. And we have like no warm purples. So a warm purple would be something that's considered to have like a reddish pink undertone, where a cool tone purple typically comes with a gray undertone, right? And most of our purples right now have a gray undertone. So Oona was definitely a missing piece, and you will see somewhere in between like a foiled shimmer and a glitter. Definitely not a loose glitter, but has more glitter or shimmer in it than something that's so finely milled that you wouldn't have like any fallout whatsoever. So this is gonna be a good shade to build coverage with. When your shades are like really finely milled, your pigmentation is pretty strong regardless of the level that you put it on. When your glitter flakes are like literally like glitter flakes, you have to really build it up. So this kind of falls right in between, where you're gonna start with some color payoff, but you can intensify it if you so choose. And we've done different looks over on Instagram and Facebook. So if you guys follow me over there, you know we've shown like how to build it up, and we've done a couple of cool toned looks. But today we're gonna do a warm look, and I can take no credit for this. I saw it on like an artist beauty group page, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna try and recreate that. It looks super lovely on the artist, and we'll see what my skill set is, because hers looked really good. But anyways, we are going to pair Oona with some warm shades, unlike the looks that we've done up to this point. But first things first, let's compare so you can see if there are shades that you have, how close Oona falls. But I'm telling you, when it comes to a warm purple, like Oona is it. Since we just had Lily, like the more pale lavender lilac purple from last month, I didn't pull out all of the purple shades. So you can definitely go back and check the Lily video if you want to see some of the lighter ones or some of the lighter matte ones. But I am starting primarily with glitters. I'll do a couple of our darker mattes, but I wanted to show you. This is our lightest shimmer shade, not glitter shade, shimmer shade. And this is Venus. Oh, too much picked up. Too much there. But as you'll see, comparison wise, this is what I mean with like Venus really does look purple. Like there is a lavender undertone to it. And my Venus lovers are gonna be like, what? That doesn't look like it at all, right? Because when you compare it to this warm Oona purple, it looks so silver. But this is Venus, and this is a light lavender purple undertone, but you'll see like cool with the gray. And then we have what I would say are our two most popular like purples, Bend and Snap and Gigi. And you guys see how close these are? So I usually tell people like, if you have one, you don't need the other. They are a little bit different, and I'll swatch them here for you. But they are really difficult to see next to one another, where actually you would be able to see these next to Oona, because again, they're gonna have that different undertone. And I know they look different, but like when you think of like Saint's purples, you're like, oh, Gigi, Bend and Snap, but look how very different they are, like super different. So this is Gigi, and then I'm gonna pick up Bend and Snap here, and you'll see how close Bend and Snap is to Gigi. So they're a little different, right? But they're so similar. And like when you don't typically wear your eyeshadow at this depth, right? Like that would be a lot on the eye. So when you look at them, they're not going to be that different on the eye, but you could certainly pair them if you were looking for some sort of ombre effect with purples. It would be so different. Like Oona is definitely a unicorn in our collection. We don't have anything like it. One that is, I would say, similar-ish, but typically falls more into the like burgundy family would be Kin. And when I say similar-ish, like the undertones, obviously they don't, Sami, those don't look the same, but they have a similar undertone. So when you're coming from like the reds and the pinks, Kin would be a warmer, like purple burgundy color. Same thing with Oona, where these ones in the middle are gonna have more of that silver base. But again, that's not the same, right? So they still look so very different. And that's why I'm telling you, if you're a lover of the purple, you should just get it, because I'm not sure if and when any of these shades of the season are coming back. Okay, so I said Bend and Snap and Gigi are what you think of when you think of purple with Seint. That's probably not true. As if is what you think of when you think of purple, when you think of like just straight purple with Seint. But a lot of people are intimidated by bolder colors. And I totally get it. I'm not big on bold colors on the actual full eyelid myself, but I love them in the outer corner. So you'll see there are probably more similarities here than like any of these other ones. And they would look really pretty together. Like Oona on the lid, like to me, this is not bold in the sense that like if I wore that on the lid, people would be like, whoa. This one you wear on the lid, now you can wear it lightly, but you could also wear it at that depth, and that's gonna be more of a look, right? Like purples, blues, greens, things worn at this depth of that color family are definitely more of a look. But how pretty would it be to pair these together where you could really create an ombre, like from starting on the, like, ooh, what if you even did like a little bit of Venus in the inner corner and then brought it out to some Oona and really like put that pop in the outer corner. These are far enough apart that you would see all three colors. Where if you did like these three together, it would be more difficult to see one color to the next, but they could flow together really pretty. So these are the shimmer shades that we have. So we have Oona, Venus, Gigi, Bend and Snap, Kin, and As If. Now let me show you a couple of the darker mattes that we have so you can kind of get your full purple comparison. Talk about colors that look similar to one another. So these are our purple undertoned matte shades. And they really, like, it's very clear that these ones fall more into the gray undertone, right? Like you can see, like back here, you may like qualify that as a gray. When we swatch them, you'll see how they have a purple undertone, but the comparison to Oona, it's just not there. Like Oona's just too vibrant and too purple and too warm to be a good like swatch comparison. So let's start with London. Oh, you can't see that here. So let's start with London. And London is going to be that purpley gray. Similar undertone as to something like Venus, where there's certainly some purple in there, but you're going to see that the base shade is definitely more gray. Now we have Midnight, which is just going, oh gosh, you dropped these on the floor, Sami, which is just going to be a darker version of London. But again, these are mattes. So you can see how much shimmer you have here. Kin is a more finely milled shimmer, so there's not as many like unique pieces in there. Same with As If. So these are both shimmers, but they are definitely more foiled. So they're gonna be a little bit of a more pigmented and smoother application. Smooth in the aspect of like they won't have any like shimmer pieces in them. These are very buttery smooth, so I don't mean smooth in that way. But then we have London and we have Midnight, and now let me show you Amethyst. This is Amethyst, And this one is the purpliest of the mattes. So you'll see also has that gray base, but definitely has more purple than the other ones, getting a little bit closer to something like an as if. But that's it. That is what I would say are the closest swatches. Oona, Venus, Gigi, Bend and Snap, Kin, As If, London, Midnight, and Amethyst. And I will take a picture of these, I will label them, and I will put them in stories over on Instagram or drop them on the feed on Facebook. So if you do want to be able to take a really good screenshot or save it, then you can find it over there. I got in a little closer so that you can see my eye when I create the look that we're gonna do. But here it is, you guys, and I'm nervous. Do you ever get nervous when you try something and you're like with cream makeup, there are no mistakes, right? Like I could blend it. I could essentially just wipe off a little spot and work around it. It's not like liquid or powder. But with eyeshadows, sometimes it kind of is what it is, right? And this is a pairing I would have never done. But like I said, the woman who did it, it was so pretty. So I'm probably already going to suffer by comparison. Okay, so this is Valencia. This is Mija. This is Cole. And then we have our girl, Oona. Let's start with what I've already done so far, because I do think it's important, especially if you have a hooded eye. So if your hood comes down and like you're only left with this little lid space here, you want to be sure to prep your eye effectively for a couple reasons. Mitigate creasing as best you can. Like I'm not ever going to be completely crease free. Like my hood comes down over my crease has a crease. Like I always have a little bit of creasing. There's just so much skin hanging over the top. But priming the eye does wonders for keeping it at bay relative to if I don't. I also would encourage you to color correct your eye. And I typically use a primer that has color corrector in it so that I'm like doing less steps. But you could certainly do them separate. The primer that I use that has a color corrector in it is MAC's Paint Pot, and the color that I use is Soft Ochre. If you are anywhere near my skin tone, Soft Ochre will work for you. If you're not, just put it in the comments below that you're much lighter or much darker, and I can let you know what the color that you would want to use is. But do you see how it has a little bit of that yellow base to it? Yellow is what corrects blue and purple. So this color corrects for me, and it primes my eye. So my shades are gonna stay really well. Because I've color corrected, they're gonna shoot true to the actual pigmented color. And this is really good for oily eyelids. So it's going to keep oil at bay, and I do have an oilier eyelid. Now, there are several other primers that you could certainly use. Anything that you like is absolutely fine. You can do ones that don't have any color to them. And if you choose one that doesn't have any color, then use your color corrector from Seint. So like for me, Mango Highlight, and then I can put my main highlight shade over top. And whether I use this or I color correct with my Seint products, I put my Vanilla Dust setting powder down on top of my eyes last if I'm gonna use powder eyeshadow, which is what I've already done. Use this, my Vanilla Dust setting powder, because I want my color to hold, but I don't want it to be so tacky or creamy that as soon as I touch the color to the eye, I just have a giant hunk of pigment. When you put Vanilla Dust setting powder down over top, you're going to have a really nice, smooth base to work with, and that's how I recommend that you start your eye. Let's dig in. The way that this eyeshadow looked in the picture is it looked as if Valencia, you guys, is a very, very neutral, close to my skin tone. And it looked as if she had probably washed it all over the eye and then used Mija, our bold pink shade, as the mid-tone transition shade. So we're just gonna start with Valencia all the way up to that brow bone, all the way down over the lid. That's going to be our base shade. So you'll see the color deviation is slight, but it does add a little bit of warmth to the eye. And this is gonna be a warmer eye look. I think it's gonna be super pretty for spring and summer, and you could build this up. We're gonna start a little bit less bold, and then we'll build it up if we want from there. Okay, I'm gonna go do the same thing over here. I'll be right back. This eye is done, and I did want to tell you, I went into Valencia with the small end of the eyeshadow brush, and I just ran this underneath my lower lashes. Now this is called haloing, and typically I use more of the mid-tone matte for the purposes of haloing, which is like an under eye liner. But I'm not a huge fan of a pink under the eye. I feel like sometimes it leaves me with that like sickly look. Like I kind of feel like my eyes look a little pink or purple when I'm feeling ill. So I don't really like to replicate that with my eyeshadow. But I did want to set my under eye. So like one of the things to think about is with cream makeup, it doesn't set. So if you've ever noticed that your mascara is transferring onto like this part of your face right here, pick an eyeshadow or Vanilla Dust setting powder and run it under those lower lashes, and that will take care of that. It will help set that. So I'm gonna start with that. And then this is actually gonna be our liner shade today. It's Coal, and I'm gonna smoke it in the outer corner. But now we have kind of a good base under there, and our eye is set and we're ready to go. So let's move into Miha. And Miha can be really pigmented, or we can start really light-handed. This is the shade that I'm using as my mid-tone matte. For somebody with a hooded eye, I want you to consider looking forward. I know a lot of times people say lift the chin. Here's the issue with lifting the chin. When you lift the chin, you tend to get right into that crease, which doesn't help when you look forward and your crease is hidden. So yes, we are gonna get it in the crease, but first we are going to go up onto the base of that brow bone. We're gonna create a new crease. This is how you're gonna be able to see your eyeshadow look when your eye is open. If you close your eye all the time or tilt your head back all the time and get it into that crease, you miss this brow bone. So start by tapping above the pupil on the brow bone, windshield wiper back and forth, and then you can tilt your head back just to make sure that yes, we do want to get it into the crease. We want really good continuity. I'm going to press a little bit here into the outer corner. We're going to build that up in a second, but I don't want it only in the crease. And even for me, you're going to see with all of these wrinkles and whatnot, if I really want to get my eye wrinkle and crease free, then sometimes depending on how hydrated or dehydrated I am, I have to pull down on that lid or pull up on the brow to make sure that I now have it visible when my eye is open. It's up here. If I happen to blink or move around, it's in the crease, okay? And for continuity, this is how we're gonna start creating depth by putting that just in the outer corner of the eye. Now, do you see how this might be a little too pink for under the eye? So that's why we're gonna reserve it as our mid-tone matte shade. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna tap Miha and Coal together. And that's how I'm gonna start building up the outer corner for some depth. I'm gonna flip this over and just really wiggle it in there. Now I'm gonna do circular motions just to make sure that everything is blended. And this is gonna create a really seamless eye look. So if you ever feel like your colors are dropping off, like one is here, one is here, one is here on your eye, tap your colors together and just give them a very soft blend. Just by adding a little bit of that Coal to Miha in the outer corner. Now you'll see it looks a little bit more pink pigmented here, but it's not drastically different here, and it has allowed us to create that upturned, like almond shaped eye. So we're creating depth. We're contouring the eye the same way that we would contour the face, and that's how we're actually gonna be able to see multiple colors on the eye when you have a hooded eye. But this is the same general concept. It's just a little easier for you ladies that don't have a hooded eye or a small eye or a deep set eye. Those of us that do, you know the struggle. But there we go. Let me go get it done on the other eye, and then we are going to move on to Oona. Okay, so I'm actually quite a fan of the look, like as it is. So this is Valencia on the lid, Miha up onto the brow bone, and then Miha and Coal in the outer corner. And I think it's really lovely. So while this is all about Oona, if you decide that you like the look, you could easily create multiple looks right here. And this, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of liking it. I didn't know what to expect, but that's why I love trying new combinations. I would easily wear this like on a normal day. It does not, to me, look like anything crazy. And when you look at these colors, like you're like, that might be a little bit crazy, but it's totally not. Okay, so let's grab Oona. Remember, Oona is buildable, which means it's going to start out pretty, I want to say sheer because it's purple. Like it's not lily sheer. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Hold on, I feel like I need to move my camera up for you. That might be a little bit better. Maybe you can see. Okay, so now I'm using my ring finger and I'm pressing on to the lid to build it up to whatever depth we want. So we can go bolder or we can leave it more sheer. When you get in there close, you'll see it has, okay, that looked creepy, y'all. It definitely has the purple vibe that you want. But when you close the lid, it's pretty subtle, right? I think it's gorgeous. Let's go ahead and blend. I have the eyeshadow brush. Let's just make sure we have no harsh edges. So I'm going crease, hood, outer corner. Now I'm using the end that we did our Valencia under the eye, just to soften that out a little bit. And now I think one thing that I want to do, I think I want to create a little bit more of an open eye by adding a little bit of brightness right here. And I'm thinking we're just going to grab something pretty soft, but with a bright champagne undertone like Sabrina. This is Sabrina. So I'm going to take the small pencil tip end of my eyeshadow brush. Let me put her in the palette. And now I'm going to open up the eye by placing her right here, like on this tear duct, and bringing it up just to create a more open looking eye. If your eye is ever feeling too closed off in the center, do you see the difference? It's typically because you have a shade that's dark on that inner corner, or maybe you have some darkness on your eye in that inner corner that you didn't color correct. So you could even color correct in there. You could go in there with one of your cream shades, or you could do something like this, where you pop this open with a Sabrina, a Drift, cupcake, anything like that. Okay, I'm gonna do that same thing over here, and then we are going to line with kohl, add our mascara, and you're gonna check out the final look. Now let's do some powder eyeliner. Okay, etch brush is where it's at. This is our newest brush. It's a gem. It has this flat, can you see? So it's a flat paddle here, but it's really thin. I love it for getting in to the lash line. And then it has the smudge end, which is great for both smudging this out if you want it to be a little bit less intense, but for adding outer corner color, it's so good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the paddle end and I'm just gonna come right on to the tip of the brush. And now I'm going to wiggle this in, like into the lashes, right along that line. I'm trying not to go too thick for a couple reasons. I am gonna smudge it a little bit. And if I start too thick and then I smudge it, you're gonna lose my lid completely. But that's the other reason. If you have a hooded eye, small eyes, deep set eyes, and you feel like as soon as you put your liner on, you lose your entire eye look because you just don't have a lot of space there, then just wiggle it into the lash line. This is gonna give you fuller looking lashes, which is awesome, while also deepening your eye look a little bit. I added a little bit, and now I'm honestly doing like a faux wing by just continuing from the lash line, but I'm pulling that up. I want everything to be lifted, and I'm using the lower lash line as well and just kind of connecting that. And it's so it's imperfect and it's not intense, which is why it works. If it's super specific, if it's with a liquid or any of those things, and I don't get it perfect, then the wing looks all wonky, right? But I'm just using a powder. I'm keeping it very light. I'm just following, instead of following my lash line straight, when I get to the outer corner, we're lifting up, we're creating lift. And I'm using my bottom lash line to connect to it and just filling in that little gap there. Now, let's take that smudge end. Let's smudge the lash line a little bit. And I'm gonna add a little bit to the lower lashes. Get a little bit on there. I might have gotten too much. And I'm gonna go in the outer third. And now we are, outer third has this smudged liner. It's connected to our like literal fake baby wing. And then when we add mascara, we'll have a nice amount of fullness. So come back, I'm gonna do the other eye, do the mascara, show you the final look. There we go, the final look mascara is on. Okay, weigh in, what are we thinking? This is the first truly like all around warm look I've created with Oona, and I'm loving it. She's a unicorn. You can wear her with cool tones, you can wear her with warm tones, and she is only here for the month of May. While supplies last, let's hope by the time this video comes out that she is still available, because I do know that she is super popular. And I wanted to share with you before we finish up, this is Quadra, this is my mascara, but it's a 4-in-1 product that I highly recommend if you're struggling with lash growth. This is a lash growth serum, tubing mascara, and primer in one with a double-sided brush. So you're going to get length and volume and the ability to separate your lashes all in one. And this is half the price of my old lash growth serum on its own. And then I still needed a primer and a mascara, or 2 mascaras, because I like 2 wands. That's just how I've been for many, many years. But I started using this not because my lash growth serum didn't work. It did work. It also turned my eyelids purple. I'm not joking. I bet if you pay close attention to a lot of the ladies selling serums that go on the lash line, you will see that their lash line is discolored, burgundy, purple, which really stinks because it worked really, really well, but it took months for that discoloration to even fade. So I was nervous to try something new, but the description, the link to this and everything else is below. You can always reach out to me via email for more information on anything that we talk about, and I am always happy to help. Okay, guys, that is it. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you're loving this new look. And as always, I'm thankful that you're here, and we'll see you next week.